Hello everyone, it's Monday, May 25th. I'm Stephanie Haney. This is your 3 News Now afternoon update with our top headlines from WKYC.com and our WKYC app. Today is also Memorial Day, where we celebrate the lives of military personnel who made the ultimate sacrifice in order to protect our freedoms here in America. So let's keep that in mind today as we're having Memorial Day gatherings from a safe physical distance, and some people are enjoying the day off from work, that we are celebrating the lives of the people who sacrificed everything to make our way of life here in America possible. There is no press conference from Governor Mike DeWine today, but we do have the updated numbers from the Ohio Department of Health. Each day we get these in at 2 p.m. and each day when we get these numbers, I'm hoping that I can come here and tell you that the number of cases is down and the number of deaths are down, but that is not the case today. Unfortunately, both the new number of daily reported COVID-19 cases and the new number of daily reported COVID-19 deaths are up today from the numbers that we saw yesterday. So the total number of both confirmed and probable COVID-19 cases here in the state of Ohio, based on that expanded CDC definition, is now 32,477. Now that is from the very beginning of when we first learned that COVID-19 was present in Ohio, dating back to March 9th. We have since learned that antibody testing has shown that COVID-19 was actually here as early as January. That's according to Dr. Amy Acton, our Ohio director of the Department of Health. Yesterday to today, we saw 566 new cases. On Sunday, we saw 503 new cases. So this is a jump up from what we saw on Sunday. And the reason that we report these numbers each day, the reason that we're keeping a very close eye on how these numbers change each day, is because what we're looking for is a downward trend. And for something to be considered a trend, according to the medical experts, we need to see 14 days of consistent declines in the new daily reported cases and the new daily reported deaths, hospitalizations, and ICU admissions. So we are up again today in both deaths and new case numbers. The total number of deaths now in the state of Ohio is 1,987. That's a total after a total of 18 new reported deaths today at 2 p.m., which is up on Sunday from 13. We saw a big jump on Saturday with 84 new reported deaths. And then before that, we were in the 60s and the 50s last week. So today, we saw 18 new reported deaths, which is an increase from what we saw on Sunday. The total number of hospitalizations for the entire life of COVID-19, as we've known it here in Ohio, dating back to March 9th, is now 5,511, with 35 new hospitalizations reported today, which is down from Sunday, actually. Sunday, there were 39 new hospitalizations reported. As for intensive care unit admissions, the total number is now 1,443, with 5 new ICU admissions reported today. That is also down from Sunday, when there were 9 new ICU admissions reported. Now let's take a look, like we do each afternoon, at the numbers across the U.S. and globally. We're going to compare these numbers over the weekend. So these are the numbers since Friday. We have seen over 65,000 new COVID-19 cases since Friday. So that's new reported on Saturday, new reported on Sunday, and the most up-to-date information today from Johns Hopkins University. Over the last 3 days, 65,000 new reported cases in the U.S., bringing the total of cases here in the U.S. to 1,653,000. In terms of new deaths, over the past 3 days, we've seen 2,664 new deaths reported related to COVID-19 in the U.S., bringing the total number of deaths to 97,940 new deaths, getting very, very close to that 100,000 number. So that's 2,664 new deaths over the past 3 days here in the U.S. If we want to compare that to how the world is looking, the U.S. had 22% of the new cases reported over the weekend and 24% of the new deaths reported over the weekend. So that's a bit of a drop from what we saw on Friday. On Friday, we saw that the U.S. had 23% of new cases and about 25% of new deaths. So small drop in the percentage point there in terms of how the U.S. is stacking up globally. I'm just going to fix my camera here for a minute as this goes live and it drops in the middle of it. Sorry about that. So in terms of those total numbers worldwide, we have seen since Friday over 301,000 new cases reported globally of COVID-19. That brings the global number of cases to 5,461,000. And in terms of deaths, since Friday across the world, we've seen 10,875 new deaths, a total of 346,293 deaths globally from COVID-19. Here in Northeast Ohio over the weekend, shootings and stabbings have been up over the last 48 hours. Cleveland police have reported that 7 shootings and 3 stabbings have taken place in Cleveland in just the past 26 hours. The violent crimes were committed in the city between Sunday and Monday, and so far Cleveland police have only reported 1 death from each of these attacks. One woman, however, was stabbed in the head and is now in critical condition, and her attacker has been apprehended. We do have more details on that on WKYC.com and our WKYC app. With today being Memorial Day, many of the celebrations will look different this year, and presidents on Memorial Day typically honor fallen military members by laying a wreath and delivering a speech at the hallowed burial ground in Virginia at Arlington Cemetery. But because of the pandemic, the ceremony looked a lot different today. Attendees at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier were wearing masks, and they did remove them for the ceremony in the well-spaced crowd where they were more than 6 feet apart. President Donald Trump, who was not wearing a mask, as he said he will not do in public, did not give remarks at that time, but he approached a wreath already in place. He did touch it, and he was expected to speak at Baltimore's Fort McHenry National Monument and Historic Shrine, where a poem written after an American flag was hoisted to celebrate an important victory over the British during the War of 1812 became what is now known as the Star-Spangled Banner. So Trump did be present at Arlington Cemetery today for the wreath. He didn't place the wreath himself, but he did continue that tradition in that way. Here in Ohio, Ohio ranks 12th for the most expensive hospital stay. This is according to a study from Quote Wizard Insurance. Ohio comes in, as I said, number 12 for the most expensive hospital stay, and also ranked number 12 in the category of highest increase in rate for a hospital stay in a 10-year period. So that has increased 49.2% here in Ohio for your hospital stay in the last 10 years. The number 1 state, North Dakota, has a 188.6% increase in health expenses over the past 10 years. That's from 2009 to 2018 is the period of time that this study is covering. The study also found that overall hospital debt in the U.S. has increased quite a bit from 2015 to 2018, going from $617 million to $56 billion in just 3 years. That's $617 million to $56 billion in just 3 years. Unlike many other developed countries, the U.S. has seen an incredibly high percentage of healthcare costs put toward administrative resources, such as human resources or technology. Just to give you some comparison here, other nations typically report anywhere from 1% to 3% of the budget, while the U.S. has an unprecedented rate of 8% of the budget going towards those things. Experts attribute this to our lack of universal healthcare system that contributes to a lack of uniformity. So these people are having to spend money to develop their own systems rather than utilizing a uniform system that's already in place. And overall, the average hospital expense in the U.S. has increased by 36% in the last 10 years. Coming in at around $2,335 for the average hospital stay here in the U.S. That is a lot of money, for sure. Now, while you are outside today, if you aren't at work, if you are able to be outside, be prepared for it to be hot today because things are definitely heating up, and some cities in Northeast Ohio could experience temperatures as high as 90 degrees today. And does make for quite the change. This is the first time that we have clocked temperatures in 80 degrees. And we can expect the temperatures to be at least 80 degrees through at least Thursday. So break out that sunscreen if you're going to be outside today because it is going to be a hot one. Here's some other news for you. If you're a fan of America's Got Talent, which is pretty much known for sort of ringing in that summer season, that unofficial summer season, that's coming back on Tuesday. That premieres on Tuesday, tomorrow, on NBC3 right here in Cleveland at 8 p.m. Eastern. So I had the opportunity to talk with longtime judge and comedian HOWIE MANDEL about the premiere that's coming up. He told me just a couple things that we can expect this season. There is a new judge. Sofia Vergara is joining the judges panel. Simon Cowell is returning. Heidi Klum is returning. Howie Mandel is returning. Terry Crews will be the host. Howie also told me about the recipient of his golden buzzer and how it's a type of performance that we've never actually even seen on America's Got Talent. He told me that the performances this season are more incredible and even more dangerous in a lot of ways from some of the performances we've seen on previous seasons. We also talked about how Heidi Klum had a COVID-19 scare back in March and how Howie checked on her every single day and what a scary time that was for everyone. Heidi is okay. She didn't end up testing negative for COVID-19. Howie also shared with me what he's actually enjoying about quarantine. As many people know, he is a notorious self-described germaphobe. So he told me how he's happy that handshakes aren't happening anymore. He thinks we don't even do fist bumps, and what he thinks we should replace handshakes with. He thinks that we should replace handshakes with spooning. He has a very interesting idea of how that makes sense and what that would look like. So you can watch that full interview. That's on WKYC.com and our WKYC app. I also just tweeted it. So if you follow me on Twitter, _Stephanie Haney, you can find the link to the interview right there, the full interview. And of course, you'll see snippets of it tonight on What's New at 5 p.m. in the Pop Break segment. So you can catch that there. That's where I'll be next at 5 p.m. on What's New. We also have more news coming for you all night at 6 p.m. on What Matters Most and 7 p.m. on Front Row and 11 p.m. on What's Next. That does it here for our May 25th 3 News Now afternoon update. I'll see you on What's New at 5 p.m. and I'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Everyone enjoy the rest of your Memorial Day. Give thanks for those people who have lost their lives in order to protect our freedoms. And of course, we are thinking of all the families who have been impacted by that kind of loss today. Have a great rest of your afternoon, everyone, and I will see you at 5 p.m. on What's New and back here tomorrow. I'm Stephanie Haney.